One way that the Photopass photographers helped make somebody's day was by making a little bit of magic. Magic shots, that is. There were a lot of ways that we Photopass photographers were able to create magical moments and do something extra and special and just help create something really neat for the guests. One of my favorite ones was magic shots. Now, every Photopass photographer can take photos. They can take pictures with the guests and around the parks. All of them are capable of that. But a lot of photographers can also do something a little bit extra, a little bit different, called a magic shot. Now, you can't do this with characters because the characters are your focus of the picture. And if you see a camera that's locked onto a tripod or it's nighttime, they're probably not going to be able to do this either because they're fixed on a specific picture that they're taking. But if a photographer is walking around with their camera loose and they're on Main Street or another part of Magic Kingdom where they're just taking pictures of backgrounds and they can move around, well, ask them if they can do what's called a magic shot. What a magic shot is, very simply, is when they pose you with a little bit different background. They might still use the icon, such as Spaceship Earth or the castle, but they may not. And instead, they may be able to add a little surprise. They're going to pose you a little bit different. They're going to have you do something different. And you're not going to have any clue, more than likely, what's in the picture until you get to go see it later. Now, for a photographer to be able to do this, it did require extra training. Back in my day, our extra training basically consisted of looking at our model picture, the one that showed kind of what we were looking for, talking with a manager or trainer, understanding how to shoot it, how to line it up, maybe taking a few practice shots just to kind of look and compare to what we've got. Usually within between 5 and 15 minutes, we would be ready to go. Well, now it's actually all officially trained and everything, and you could see this happening as I was there, that gradually they kind of took our, hey, I think I can pretty well do it and I understand it, to, look, you can't do this now until you have been officially trained and signed off, and we've marked it in your certifications and proficiencies in the computer system, and if you do possibly take it, you haven't been officially marked off as having done it, you might get in trouble and blah, 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 blah. Yeah, sadly, jobs tend to get that way. But back in my day, hey, this is kind of what we're shooting for. This is what we want to do. Let's go for it. And we would be able to go out after a few minutes and pretty much be able to shoot it. We knew what expressions we wanted, we knew how we wanted to pose the guests, and we were good to go. It might take you a couple times to shoot it and then go back and look and say, oh, you know what, I didn't quite get that right, let me fix that next time. But other than that, it was pretty open. One of the cool things about magic shots, though, is they're constantly changing. As I'm going to get to show you with the magic shots here at the end of the video, I'm going to show you a bunch, some of which are done now, some of which we used to do and you can't do anymore, and some of which you can still do and we've been doing since the beginning. It's really kind of neat to see how it has evolved. The first original magic shot was Tinkerbell. This was actually one that Kodak used to shoot back in the day. They would take your picture out in front of the castle, you'd hold your hands out, hey, I can't see anything there, but I trust she's going to show up. They take the picture, and then with a little bit of pixie dust and a little bit of Walt Disney magic, after that picture's been transmitted, lo and behold, Tinkerbell shows up in your hands. You want to coach the guests a little bit, and hey, give me a good surprise expression, or if you're on the sides, kind of point into the hands. Make it look like you're shocked and surprised. You don't know why, but it made it a lot of fun. Photopass, even from the beginning, began doing the Tinkerbell shots. That was one they took from Kodak. But then they also realized we can really do some neat stuff with this. Especially as we go electronic. When you take the picture, it's transmitted down to the PDA. You can actually tell the PDA what kind of picture you're taking, what you want to be in it. It transmits it off into Disney Central. And then, like I said, a little pixie dust happens within the computer system. And lo and behold, it's really amazing some of the things that we were able to do with it. And there's just this really cool mix of different shots. So let me give you an idea of some of the ones that are out there and some of the different types, because they can kind of be grouped up into categories. The first one I already mentioned is kind of the hand shot. Tinkerbell is a great example of this one. She's probably the most common. This is the one that everybody thinks of. I went and had my picture with Tinkerbell in my hand. And we had different variations. I'd love to have the boys grossing out and the girls excited, or just a big group where everybody could do it. Tinkerbell isn't the only one you can have in a hand. You don't have to do the hands this way. You can do it on the side, and you may have Chip, the teacup, show up in it. Or perhaps it's a flaming pumpkin. They've also added a couple variations of this that we call the baby hold, and you may have baby Simba show up in your arms, or now it's also kind of the elbow extension, and you may end up with a certain rooster up on your arm, or you could possibly even end up with a chicken on your arm. How would a chicken get up on your arm since they don't fly? But all of these are fun ones where you pose the guests not knowing, and you try to coach them to look where you're going to have whatever it is and get the proper expressions, so that in the case of the hand shots, it's usually a nice surprise expression or a pointing to it or something like that. There's also what we would call the bench shots. There's basically 3 standard ones here, although they do occasionally add others. This is when you get your guests to sit down on one of the benches in the park or a cement seat or something like that. And the idea is to put them on one side of the picture and then have your surprise guest show up on the other. It may be Mickey Mouse. It could be Minnie Mouse. And I love to do Minnie with the ladies and have them all kind of pose like Minnie as well. Give it a nice little... It was a really cute picture that way. The other one that's fun, especially with the kids, is Stitch. Because Stitch is making a mess, as Stitch does. And especially if I could find a kid eating ice cream, this was awesome, because then you'd have them both eating ice cream. Otherwise, you'd get the guests to give a really nice, gross, disgusted look like, I can't believe he's doing that. Ew. There are others that they do this way, but those are your 3 main bench shots, and those have all been there since the very beginning. There's also what I call the side shots. These are the ones where your guests are standing there and somebody else will appear on either side of them, or maybe even both sides of them. As an example is one that I had last time I was there, in Olaf, which is a fairly recent one. Hey, make your guests look cold, show up Olaf, and you both get your own personal snow flurry. My son and I got a great one with the Headless Horseman. I love this shot. It is just the coolest looking shot. And to make this effective, give the best scared look you can. They did another one during the Not So Scary Party with the Haunted Mansion ghosts on the side of you, and I wish I had gotten one of those because they were the coolest shots. I mean, you had both the hitchhiking ghosts as well as the ballroom ghosts, and just neat, cool looking shots. And they've also got a new one out now with the Kowalkian monkey lizard over in Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, and various other things. It's a fun shot. This is an easy one to line up. Put the guests here, leave the space there. Or if it's something that's going to show up on both sides, make sure you got them in the middle with plenty of room on both sides for them. Then, of course, the appropriate expression. There's also the ground shot. This one you'd want the guests to the side a little bit, kind of pointing down to the ground, and there were various versions of this. We used to have Stitch coming out of the ground. I don't think he does that one anymore, but there's also various other ones that they would have. Over at Animal Kingdom, they've got a couple variations of Timon and Pumbaa and Simba that really work. I love the marching one they've got now. That's just really cool. It seems like most of these are at Animal Kingdom right now. There's actually a great way to see what they do have available. Go to the Photopass Facebook page and look in the albums, and they actually have whole albums that'll show you what they've got available at the moment. Really cool way to see what's there. Probably the most common type of shot now, though, is the sky shot, where there's something up in the air and they've got you pointing at it or looking at it. Magic Kingdom has Tinkerbell up in the air, and that's an easy one to get. Animal Kingdom has Caw coming out of a tree. Epcot has Figment that's up in the air. You can get it with balloons at a couple different places. Epcot used to have a glider for soaring up in the sky. I don't think they do that one anymore, but that was a fun one. Star Wars Galaxy's Edge has the TIE Fighters up in the air that you can do that. Or the X-Wing Fighters if you're more of a Resistance person. And there's all sorts of other ones as well. So sky shots are really popular. And then there are those other ones, the ones that are just a little different. My favorite of the old ones that they don't do anymore is the swords. And you can see I've got my one here outside Pirates where I'm having a sword fight with Captain Hook. We actually had a similar one where you had a lightsaber duel with Darth Vader. Basically the same pose, stand on the side, hold it out, give a good snarl, and it made a great shot. I don't know why they don't do that one anymore. It was a little hard to get people to come do it, but it was such a cool photo. The other one that's kind of neat they do now at Halloween time is the poison apple. And I love this pose because it's actually 2 bits of magic. One is to add in the kettle, and then 2 is to get your guest positioned with their hand right over where that kettle would be, and then to get the apple showing up in their hand. It's just a really cool shot. I love this one, especially if you can get the great looks on your guest's face like we did in this one. What a difference. Awesome photo. So that's a little bit of look at how some of the Photopass photographers created magic, how you can find magic in the parks on your own, or even some hints if you're skilled with digital photography to be able to create a little bit of magic on your own. Yes, I've had a couple times where I wanted a photo and we couldn't make it work, and so I found a way to make it work on my own. Gives you some great ideas of some ways to play with the photographers and to let the photographers have an opportunity to make some magic for you. Do you have a favorite magic shot you like? Or one that you wish they did? I'd love to hear it. Share it in the comments below. Don't forget to hit that like button, give me a good thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and to share this video with people who may be thinking about going to Disney and let them know what magic shots to look for. Don't forget to check that description as well. Tons of info in it on merchandise, on fan pages, gear I use, and all sorts of stuff. It'll also give you links to my Patreon as well as to my YouTube memberships. That's where my financial supporters can sign in, and they are a huge help to me in making various things possible. A lot of these magic shots you see in my video, those came because of my patrons supporting me and paying for the trip, as well as paying for the Photopass card. It wouldn't happen without them. I also want to give a huge shout out to my brand new patron, Donald Chump. Thank you so much, Donald, for signing on. If you want to know more about them and the perks that they get as well, be sure to check the description below. Thank you so incredibly much for watching, and God bless. Now, every photographer can... Yeah, they can't talk, but they can take pictures. Yeah. I trust she's going to take... This one you actually would tend to get the guests to the side and pointing down to the ground. Oh my goodness. Excuse me. We actually had a similar one where it was a... We actually had a similar one where it was a laser sword. Why can't I say lightsaber? And we would be able to go out after a few minutes and pretty much take over.
Jade, what do you want to do tonight?
The same thing we do every night, Pinky. Try to take over the world.
If you'd like to know about my merchandise, fan pages, and more, be sure to check the description below. If you'd like to know whenever I've got a new video posted, well, make sure you hit that button right up there and subscribe. If you'd like to watch another one of my videos, I've got a great one for you right here. And if you'd like to be like these wonderful people here and support me financially on Patreon, well, make sure you check the link right there. There's even some extra perks for them. Thank you so much, and God bless.